We got some new stuff in this week in the running game. So we'll
What does
see.
that mean? What, John? Explain to me what that means. Why do I hear this every week?
Well, partially because, when they went under center, in theory, that's new. It's not really new, but it's things they don't use very often. So, again, they're trying to tweak things.
Johnny Mac, let's get into this game, brother, real quick. But I got some matchups in mind that I want to run by you. But for you, what comes to mind when you think Eagles Chargers? Anything jump out at you about this Chargers team or about the matchups, the game within the game for the Eagles on Monday night?
Well, I just want to see, what everybody wants to see. Well, two things now because of the defense and Carter. You want to see what Vic does, whether it's rolling out six-man fronts, whatever, to try to stop the run game at least more effectively. And then offensively, I mean, we're all in the same boat. We want to see what the Eagles do offensively. And, I think it's more internal than looking at the opponent. Can you line up? Can you eliminate the pre-snap penalties? Can you eliminate the negative plays? To me, it's more internal because I don't think these big schematic changes are coming that people want. That's off-season stuff.
Yes, and you've been very consistent on that, John, and you're obviously very right on it. I mean, even Sheil Kapadia yesterday was on the radio station, and he's like, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, I'm sitting Jalen Hurts down in the offseason, and we are discussing, how to push the ball more into and do things, even if he doesn't like it. He's got to do it more to get this offense to the next. It was actually a great piece by a great conversation that Sheil had, but he was consistent with you as well. That's off-season conversation. They're not changing a whole lot right now.
No, you can't. There's no time. There's no ability to do it. So you got to clean up the negative stuff. And if you clean up the negative stuff, things are going to look a hell of a lot better. If 3rd and 8 turns into 3rd and 3, the Eagles are very difficult to stop. Even as poorly as they've been playing. But because it's a lot of the reasons they're playing so poorly offensively because they're always 3rd and long. 3rd and long becomes 3rd and short. You start cooking with gas, and half of the time it's self-inflicted wounds, I would say. And if they can clean that stuff up, I think that's been the whole focus. Easier said than done, but that's the whole focus.
No doubt about it. John, good stuff there. Let's get into some of the matchups I have on my mind here. Both my first two matchups, John, are Eagles defensive line related, and it actually doesn't have a whole lot to do with Carter missing, but he obviously changes the conversation. I'm looking at those edge rushers, John, for the Eagles versus the Chargers tackles. They got two backup tackles. I mean, they have two really good tackles, Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, and both of them are out right now. Mekhi Becton hasn't worked out well for them. Trevor Penning, who they traded for, hasn't worked out well for them. They're really struggling on the offensive line, John, and I think it's an opportunity for those edge rushers to really try and put their stamp on this game. What do you think? What do you think about that matchup over there with the Eagles edge rushers going into this game versus the Chargers?
Well, the Chargers have the worst tackles in the NFL, which is interesting, as you pointed out. If they're healthy, they have arguably the best pair of tackles, or certainly in the conversation with the Eagles and a few other teams. Certainly top 3, top 4 with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. Slater's missed the entire season. Alt is now out. They've used 1, 2, 3, 4 different tackles trying to figure something out, and they're all playing very poorly. They're just not good. So, yeah, it should be a huge advantage for the Eagles. As I said, Jalen Phillips is going to be ready to go. As Nolan Smith gets more playing time, you want to see more from him. Jalex Hunt has been, I think, one of the better stories in the second half of the season. He's really starting to click and come on a little bit. So, and they become even more important with no Jalen Carter. So now, we talked about double teams, Morrow. Well, for the Chargers, it might be double teaming outside, and it it helps you to not have to worry as much inside, and you can help more with the tight ends, the backs, and chips and things like that. So, but big advantage on paper for the Eagles.
Definitely a big advantage on paper, John. And then the other part of the defensive line that I think is a big one for this game is the Eagles' run defense versus the Chargers' run game. I mean, the Chargers are pretty middle of the pack running offense, but they've had good games with Kimani Valdal, his name is, and then Marion Hampton, who might be back in this game. He was limited. He's been injured since early October, but there's a chance he would return in this game. And he's a threat in the passing game as well. So you obviously saw what DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai did last week, and you have no Jalen Carter. To me, that's a big part of this matchup for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean they run the football pretty effectively. I mean that's a Jim Harbaugh team. They like to run the ball. They have a fullback. One of the few teams that uses a fullback a decent amount of times. As you mentioned, you have Badal, who's maybe people haven't heard that much about, but he's been a good back, and he's really been effective since Hampton went down. So again, they're more in the class of not Gibbs and Montgomery, but what you saw last week. They're just as capable as Swift and Monungai, especially if Hampton's back, to have the 1-2 punch. But half of it is just Jim Harbaugh likes to run the football. He's a more conservative, old school guy. If you were rating the conservative level of the coaches, he'd be top 5 in the NFL. And they like to run it, and they're going to try to run it and work everything off that. And arguably, it's even more important this week because of what Herbert's dealing with. So I think it's going to be a big part to this game. And I think after last week, and I was talking to Byron Young yesterday, he said the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a copycat league. If you're watching the film of the Eagles last week, you're going to try to run the ball. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. You think they'll be successful with it? You're a lot more confident about this game than I think most Eagles fans are, John.
Well, yeah, I mean, the quarterback has got screws in his hand from Monday, Yeah, just had surgery, major surgery.
Yeah,
I realized
Dr. Chow said there's actually a good chance he'd be better in this game than what he was when he returned to the game last week.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had a broken hand last
Yeah,
week.
but I mean, and they're gonna give him the painkillers are, whatever the heck it
Yeah.
is, and all that stuff.
I mean, a tough guy, but I mean, I mean, again, for some bizarre reason, Justin Herbert has been a guy that Eagles fans don't like because I don't know if there's a huge history, but tremendous quarterback. But I mean, talking to Jordan Mailata's comments, like, that I saw it piqued your interest. Like his body's breaking down. That's what the NFL is, man. I mean, the guy had major surgery on Monday. He's coming back to play on Monday night.
Yeah.
And to think he's going to be his normal self, I think is not possible. I give him all the credit in the world that because there's very little doubt in my mind that he's going to play, but it's not going to be Justin Herbert at his normal level. So I think that helps the Eagles. I do think the receivers, if they pass protect, are going to give the Eagles some trouble. I think Keenan Allen still. How old is Keenan Allen? That dude is amazing. What a player.
He's got to be up there. Keenan Allen, probably 32.
I mean, he is so productive.
33.
He is such a good route runner. Um, and he's, at one point he was top 5 receiver in football, and he's not that any longer, but he's just a tremendous safety valve. And then Ladd McConkey's also a great route runner. And great route runners really give corners difficulty.
Yeah.
The guys who are really sharp and don't round things off. And
yeah, well, speaking of that, did you see George Pickens last night? Boy, that was a tough.
yeah, that was the Steelers, George Pickens. He
That was
showed up at the worst time. Yeah, exactly. Good point. Terrible routes, not coming back to the football.
Nothing. I mean, no, man, just
had a really poor performance. And then Quentin Johnson's the talented one, and he drops the football a lot. So he's the one who I'm not as concerned with, even though he's the most gifted. But he is gifted, but he's just so inconsistent catching the football. But they're very talented at wide receiver, and we know the struggles of Adoree Jackson and Reed Blankenship, and now you have either Sidney Brown or Marcus Epps. So if they do have time to get the football down the field to those guys, it could be a problem.
Interesting stuff there, John. John, going over to the offensive side of the ball. Actually, real quick, one more side of the defense. Do you think JAKIB Campbell will get more snaps this week? I mean, he got 0 last week.
I'm going to go over 0.
I'm going to go over 0 too.
Boy, I'm going to say it, and I love the guy. Kobe Dean's not playing well.
No, he's well. You think even more than just last week?
Oh yeah. And I love Vic too. I'm like, what are you looking at, dude? He said, well, that was about because I asked that question as well about why didn't JAKIB play? And he said, he should have done a better job. He certainly should have gotten him in there at some point because of how many defensive snaps they had to play. So I do think he'll be more cognizant on getting him in there. But then he went back to the fault. Well, N'Kobe's a good run defender, and we were having trouble stopping the run, and we wanted to keep him in there. And I'm like, that makes sense on the surface, obviously. So I went, because it's been more than this game, and I went to look at N'Kobe's numbers again, not perfect, but it's PFF numbers. He's 89th of 90 in run defense grade. 89th of 90. Now, look, I always say what you want about PFF, but when they say, and this is what I've always said, when they say you're playing well, you're playing well. And then you can argue about who's the best and who's the best. And when they say you're playing poorly, you're playing poorly. And 89th of 90 tells me you're playing poorly. And that's what my eye test told me. So I went to look at, all right, the reputation of JAKIB Campbell is great athlete, great in space. It's been a good pass coverage guy. And that's what Vic started out with, which was N'Kobe and base and JAKIB and nickel. So he's 4th of 73 in coverage grade, JAKIB Campbell. But he's 31st of 90 in run defense. Why is this guy not on the field? I don't get it. Other than reputation and, and again, I say the same thing, and people can say, well, you say don't put Tank Bigsby on the field to Saquon Barkley. Well, and I do say that, and I freely admit that hypocrisy. But I mean, Saquon Barkley's got more demonstrated performance than N'Kobe Dean. N'Kobe's been a good player. hasn't been a superstar. And JAKIB Campbell, by the way, is a first-round pick. And not only, the Eagles got him late, but we all know that if he was healthy, he would have been a top 15, top 20 pick at worst. This is a guy with high-level talent who was playing. Now, that doesn't always translate to the NFL. There's plenty of bust, but he was playing like a high-level talent. He was playing that way. You were all excited about him, and rightfully so. And now he's forgotten about? For a guy who's 89th of 90 in run defense?
Yeah, you've been on this for a while. I mean, I'm a Kobe guy. I like the Kobe, and I feel like
I'm
maybe
Kobe guy.
That number doesn't maybe tell the whole story, but I don't know. Not ideal. I see what you're saying with that. So, I guess you're expecting him to get on the field then a lot more on Monday?
Not a lot, a little bit. Because basically what it was before, some bizarre reason as it's gone on, so week 8 was when JAKIB was playing near 100% of the snaps, obviously, when the Kobe wasn't healthy. And then when he got back and was more part of the mix, he played 21 snaps, then he played 34, then he played 21, and then it was down to 11 and then 0. So I think you'll be back at least to the 11 to 20 range would be my guess. Still not a lot, still not what it should be. And I'm not even going into the fact that, hey, in 2026, it's JAKIB's job. So what are we doing? I mean, he's playing better. It's his job in 2026. What are we doing? That's one where Howie's got to go, you know what? Vic, I love you, but we got to play JAKIB Campbell.
Good stuff, John. Let's flip over to the other side of the ball for this game. Eagles offense, they've obviously been a struggling unit basically all year long, and this Chargers defense is pretty good, John. They are the number 3 ranked defense in the NFL, and they have a tremendous pass defense, John. They are second in the NFL in pass defense. They give up just 168 yards a game through the air, and they have not given up. Listen to this. They haven't given up 200 passing yards in a game in any of their last 5 games. They got great defensive backs. Obviously, Derwin James is a big one there. They got plenty of other players as well back there. Jackson and Jefferson both have 3 interceptions. That is Tony Jefferson and Dante Jackson. They don't blitz very much. I'm wondering if they'll blitz more. I think they're 20%.
And they got the good Tuipolo too.
Yeah.
We got Marlin. They got Tui.
What do you think, though, this offense versus defense, John? I basically trust this offense versus nobody. I just think they're going to have bad outputs every week.
That's why I think they're going to have a good game. Now I'm joking. Everything says this is not the game that they're going to get the passing game going. As you just stated, they give up 168 passing yards a game, which is second in the NFL. They have 16 third down sacks, which speaks to putting teams in bad positions, third and longs. They're top 10 in sacks overall, so they pressure well. Tui Pelotu's the biggest. Khalil Mack is still going, guy who Vic loves, had for 1 year. One of the best, not the same, obviously, at his age, but still produces at a big-time level. Yeah, it's just a really good defense. And when you're struggling on offense, the NFL has a way of humbling you. That's what everyone says. And this is not the team you want on the schedule if you want to get your offense going. Bottom line. But you got to play who's on the schedule. and not going to be easy.
Nope.
Not going to be easy. I think it's about people don't want to hear. It's about getting the running game going.
Yeah, it is.
You
Well,
ain't
that's
get
going next. I just wanted to start on Jalen in the passing game.
you ain't getting the passing game going.
They play a ton of zone coverage too, don't they? They're a zone team.
Yeah, well, and Derwin James is one of those guys. If he played on the East Coast, he'd probably be, much better known. But
yeah, he's an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's a big time player. So yeah. And Mailata, I was talking about Mailata. He said the same thing. We got some new stuff in this week in the running game. So
what does that mean? What, John? Explain to me what that means. Why do I hear this every week?
Well, partially because when they went under center, in theory, that's new. It's not really new, but it's things they don't use very often. So again, they're trying to tweak things. Maybe they'll try some more, pin and pull. Maybe they'll try some more. Maybe they'll look at what Ben did with Chicago and say, all right, let's try to do more of that and try to do more outside zone with the cutback and see how Saquon handles it. Little tweaks like that. But they've been this entire time, while everybody talks about the passing game, they're trying to fix the running game. That's what they're trying to fix.
They've already accepted that the passing game blows. That's what that means.
Well, they've already accepted that for the passing game to not blow, they got to be in third and short.
Yeah, but even when the running game is good, it kind of blows from a volume standpoint for sure.
Well, but there's a difference in efficiency when they're third and short.
Yeah,
significant.
Well, that's obvious. Yeah, that's fair.
No, the volume's never going to be there. So for the people that want to know, and to a certain degree, the volume has been there in the losses because they're trying to come back and they're trying to throw the ball and I wouldn't be focused on the volume. AJ had a phenomenal game against Chicago. The problem is the efficiency of the passing game, and that is all focused on being in third and longs too much and all that. And they're in third and long because they can't run the ball. So that's when Nick says it's not one issue, it's layered, and it is. But their focus has been, is, and will continue to be getting the running game. And again, not up to last year's standard. That horse has left the barn. Getting up to, I would say, the Eagles standard, which is more of the Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift eras. Can you get to that level? And if you get to that level, you're one of the best teams in the NFC again.
You seem to have confidence that they can get there.
Not necessarily, but I think it's more likely than revamping the passing game and turning into the greatest show on turf.
Is it more likely than them collapsing?
Yes. Oh, yeah. They're not collapsing. They're not collapsing.
What would you categorize as a collapse? They were 8-2. If they finished the season 10-7, is that a collapse? That's a collapse, right?
If they lose in the first round and get blown out, yeah, I'd call that a collapse. But I don't think they're going 2-3.
I don't either. I think they're going to go 3-2.
I think they might even go.
I feel a little more confident today.
Now, this is a big game. I think if they win this game, which they're wholly capable of. I mean, they're favorites, for God's sakes. If they win this game, they're going to win 4. They're going to win 4 or 5. It might even run the table because Again, the schedule
Man,
stinks.
you're confident in this team, dude. You have been all year.
No,
John,
it
is
is
this a
not.
fair way to classify you?
It is
You're never
not.
too high and you're never too low,
It is
right?
not competence in this team. It's incompetence in the opponents. The opponents stink on ice,
It's not who
except
we're playing, John. It's how we're playing. We're not a good team.
except. But what is Las Vegas going to do? What
I
is?
don't know. They ran for $190 last week. Do the same thing the Bears just did. Caleb Williams threw for less than 50%.
Well, that's people are as we've seen, the transit of property doesn't work in the NFL. So I'm assuming the Eagles are not going to give up 208. Yes, I have a lot of confidence they're going to be under 281 yards given up rushing. A lot of confidence.
I have confidence in that. That's fair.
A lot of confidence. So I don't really care. We just got a huge explanation of why they gave up 281 yards. And Jalen Carter playing the way he played. We just got that explanation.
Yeah, but now he's not even on the field. I mean,
do you want him on the field?
No,
I
don't.
That version of Jalen
Carter. Is it easier for the Bears with him on the field not playing up to his potential, or is it easier for the Chargers without him on the field at all? I mean, if he's on the field, you still pay attention.
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
That Jalen Carter is not helping you. No, a healthy Jalen Carter helps you immensely. That Jalen Carter against Chicago Bears did not help you. That was his worst game as a professional. And that was long before I looked at I came on here. It's one of the few times I say it all the time. And you do the post game show. So, you'll ask me questions and it's hard to decipher things in the immediate moment. And you say, well, you got to look at the film and you got to see what happened. I said right away, that's one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. It was so obvious how poor it was to the naked eye. And then you look at the grades afterwards. I'm trying to pull it up. What it was. Let's see. All right, Eagles. He got a 32.8. This is one of the best players, most gifted players the Eagles have ever had. It was a flipping disaster. So, I mean, that guy who showed up against Chicago, that's what I was trying to say earlier in the show. He's not helping you. So you're literally going to be better with, I'm not going to say Ty Robinson, but you're going to be better with.
Don't say that. I feel like even his presence though, John, like even if he's not playing well, don't teams still look at him and like, all right, he's still Jalen Carter. They don't know what's going on with him.
Well, they do now.
Now they do, but he's not out there.
Well, the Bears knew.
All right, John, I just said it. You're never too high and you're never too low. If the Eagles lose on Monday, will you start to look at this team a little differently?
Well, it depends. If they lose 40-7, yes.
They're not going to lose 40-7. They're going to lose 23-20, and the offense is going to be brutal. Then I have to scrape for every point like you always do. That's this team.
I just said they could certainly lose this game. The Chargers are a good team, not a great team, but they're a good team. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chargers won the game at all. But no, so if it's 23-20, no, I'm not gonna panic because the Raiders are coming up and the Commanders are coming up, and the Cowboys just shot themselves in the foot again.
Yeah.
So you have more time to figure things out, even though they should have figured things out. But nonetheless, you have some time to get back to playing solid football because of the Dallas Cowboys' inability to put some pressure on you. So. And that could be a negative thing as well if you want to look at it from the urgency standpoint. They don't have a lot of urgency right now. Now, if you're talking about the number one seed and they got to run out the table and hope for a lot of things, yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. So they're going to have to go through what they went through last year and play 4 games and hope other teams lose and all that kind of stuff, or they're going to have to go on the road. And that makes it much more difficult. That part of it, yeah, I've already baked into it. They're not getting the number 1 seed. So to me, it's about just getting and playing your best football in January when the playoffs start. And now they have less of a sense of urgency to get things done and more ability to figure things out. Not that they will, but it starts with the running game, and we'll see if they can get it again, not to the level of. And Jalen Hurts, that was probably the biggest part of his press conference. He was asked about the reports about him not wanting to run, and he kind of asked where'd they come from. Like,
what do you mean? The use his numbers are way down since
week 4. He seemed perplexed. He was he just does that sometimes. He likes to
perplex. He
likes to make the questioner uncomfortable at times. But I have heard, because what I heard very early in the season was that, yes, they were trying to better manage him from a health standpoint. And as things get later and more high leverage, it will ramp up. And I already see that happening. So when you get to the playoffs, I think he's going to run with impunity. I think the Eagles and Jalen Hurts don't think that's wise in week 1 and week 2 and week 3, even though, you'll hear the lip service of every game's important. You also have to be realistic. So I think you already see it ramping up. It will continue to ramp up. So that will help. So I think you have that card in your back pocket. But even with that, you need Saquon. You got to figure out how to get Saquon going to an acceptable level.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, to me, that's the whole thing. That's the whole linchpin to it. I mean, I wrote about this last week. They put up 2 pictures in the locker room last year. The one said Savior, and the one said Chosen One, and they were framed photos of Saquon, backed by the offensive line.
Savior and Chosen One. I wouldn't use that to describe any human being, but okay.
Well, exactly. This was last year, by the way. They haven't been taken down. They should be taken down.
Savior?
Yes. That's the kind of impact he had on this team and this organization. And you saw Howie Roseman on one of those things. I don't know where he said it. One of those unscripted things where he was shown telling Saquon Barkley that he was the difference. He was the one who got us over the hump. That's what they believe. He hasn't been that guy this year, to say the least. How do you get him back? I'm not even saying get him back to that guy. I'm saying getting him back to a Miles Sanders level or a DeAndre Swift level. Is that possible? How is that not possible? If that's not possible, we should pull the plug right now on the season. Because if that's not possible, yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Well, it hasn't been possible in 12. This is where I don't know where your confidence comes from. 12 games. Is that not a big enough sample size for you to say it's not coming? They are who they are, just like you say in the passing game. That's not what I'm telling you about the running game.
Well, then, but the difference is I believe there is, room for improvement or deprovement, making up words. You can go one way, you can go another way. Obviously things are not static, which I talk about all the time. I can't sit here and say, though, if you're asking me, that he can't get to the level of Miles Sanders or DeAndre Swift.
He can get there. He's got to be able to. I get why you're confident about it. It feels like it should be easy.
Well, that's not even the right word. It's like, that's not that big of a bar is my point. Like if you're saying 2,005 yards, yeah, he's not that guy. I'm not looking for that bar.
Well, here's a simple thing to do. Catch, I agree. Big improvement. That's easy. Keep tight end 81 out of the damn play calls. The guy can't block. I agree. I don't know what they're
Well,
doing.
blame Howie for that one.
Wait, John, where are these pictures where they're calling Saquon the chosen one and savior? That is weird shit. You might have to get a picture of these things today.
I think I have pictures, but they're way back on the photo roll. I have too many pictures. My God. Can somebody
you can search by a word and the photo.
Can you? Yeah, but how do you search by word when it doesn't have the information? Like it doesn't know who.
No, but it like if you search it'll scan your photos. See, like I just typed in savior and a picture of my church book came up where they highlighted.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It has no information. So it's just a pic. Like I don't label the photos.
No, you don't label, but if it says savior clearly, it'll find it. It'll find it. If I don't know, maybe it won't. Who knows? These phones are smart nowadays. I don't know. I just think that's weird that they put that up there, but whatever. It teaches.
That was last year. It was a big deal. I'm surprised.
Chosen one. Isn't that what LeBron calls himself too? The chosen one.
I don't know. He didn't. And by the way, it wasn't Saquon doing it. You know, they did it. The offensive line did it. It wasn't Saquon.
No, I know that. I'm not saying Saquon's the weirdo. I'm saying the organization is weird.
December 6th, 2024. First story. I just searched, and anybody can do it. Search Savior Chosen One, Saquon Barkley.
Savior Chosen One. This is weird.
What two frame photos of Saquon Barkley say about the Eagles? It's our buddy Martin Frank, the first one.
There you go.
Underneath one picture, the words "the chosen one" are written. Underneath the other, "our Savior" are written. Yeah. Second one is Sports Illustrated. New York Times, Saquon is Philadelphia's chosen one. Yeah, it was all over the place last December. And do you remember when Howie said that? I don't know. Does anyone remember what that was on? I don't know if it was unscripted or.
I don't remember. I'm not a huge fan of the state media stuff. I really don't like it that much. I know a lot of fans do, but maybe
I know. I don't like it at all.
A lot of fans get mad at us on JAKIB, John, because they've become used to everybody just glazes the Eagles. They love it, man. Everybody loves glazing the birds. It's not really my style. Here's the picture. Our Savior. That's even weirder. Our Savior.
Yeah.
Where's the chosen one? I guess it's not on this one. That's a different one.
It's right next to it.
This is the one I pulled from the article. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, that was last year when he was having the year he was having. This year he's not having that year. I have to double check today. I don't know. They might have pulled down the tape. The pictures are still there, but that was probably 3 weeks ago. I don't think they're going to rip them down.
No, I don't either. Saquon's going to walk by and be like, what the heck? I'm not the savior anymore. No, you got to run for a little bit more than 38 yards a game, Saquon. I mean, you're up 21. You got 10 for 22.
No, come on. He's
over here, Saquon.
Saquon is at 61.7 yards per game.
60. Is that what he's at? Yeah. So he's probably right on pace for 1,000 because there's 17 games.
Oh, he's on pace for 1,000. It's easy to run if you're healthy for 17 games.
60 yards a game, isn't that what it is?
Yeah, right around there? It's not hard. That part's not that good. That just means you're healthy and you're a starter.
It's 58 yards a game, get you 1,000 yards a year.
Yeah,
if you have 17 games. So he's right over. He'll get to the 1,000 mark, but he won't get to anywhere close to what he did a year ago.